How about you? Are you premiering it?
It's pretty exciting, really, to be honest with you. I think when I made this film a year ago, I wasn't expecting to be standing here in front of you guys. So, yeah, I'm really honoured and really flattered to be an opening night film. So, yeah.
It's incredible. And tell us about the film.
It's a really bizarre story, how it came to be. But I wrote the script in 2 days last July. We were filming by August. We wrapped by the end of August. And here we are today standing. But the film's actually about a couple. They're dealing with some personal tragedy and they decide to go camping and upset a nest of vampires, you know. Classic boy meets girl story, really. So.
And so, was there something particular with the vampire genre that you wanted to do that was different to what we've seen before?
You know, I'm a massive fan of cosmic horror, you know, like my sensibilities lie in Lovecraftian storytelling, but at the same time, I'm a very commercial filmmaker, you know, so I think I was attracted to the idea of trying to blend the two things together. And I feel like vampires have been done so much. Trying to do something fresh with them is an extremely difficult task. But I think we come at them from a different angle. You know, the film has its own rules about vampires, which I think the viewer just has to accept. And I think when all's said and done, we've got a fresh angle on them that hopefully you haven't seen before. So.
And you were talking about the couple that they've got their own personal tragedy to deal with. So I'm thinking as well that this story isn't just about vampires. There's characters that have layers that an audience can also invest in.
Yeah, it's a very character-driven movie in the sense that Josh and Beth, I mean, we find out very early on that Josh is suffering from leukemia. It's an early diagnosis, and the holiday that they're going on is really designed for them to find a bit of inner peace before they begin the chemotherapy. And so I think it allowed me to tie the vampires to that element of the story and try to make a very character-driven horror film, you know. So I'm intrigued to see how the horror fans respond to it because it's a very character-driven piece. But there's a lot of jokes in there, and it's not a somber movie in any sense. So let's hope they respond well to it, I think.
With regards to the vampires themselves, we're obviously independent filmmakers, so finding the right budget to get the payoff, was that a tricky thing?
I mean, the budget is absolutely tiny. I mean, I think we are by far the lowest budget movie playing on opening night. But I hope what we achieve, I mean, me as a filmmaker, I'm always striving for this. I think that filmmaking's democratized now. You know, I've seen films shot on iPhones that look better than some Hollywood films I've sat through, and I think that as long as a director and as a filmmaker you're passionate and you have a strong vision, the equipment's there for you to translate it now. And I think when people watch the movie, they're not going to see the budgetary limitations that we have. I hope anyway, that was the goal. So
Redwood, tell us more about it.
Well, Redwood is definitely, you see, I have to say, when I spoke on the phone to Tom, I was like, who's the director? This doesn't sound like a typical horror film to me. And he was like, yeah, no, exactly. That's the whole point. I want to completely, fool the audience and make them think that, well, what kind of film is this? I thought I was going to see a horror film. And then when they least expect it, punch them with this bam, horror effect. So, yeah, I thought that was very exciting. Yeah.
What is it about the character that you particularly liked? What did you want to bring to the thing?
Well, as I said to everyone else, Beth is a very strong female character, which honestly is very great to see, very great to play and to read. So I even said to Tom, gosh, you can write women. You wrote her very well. And he goes, yeah, because I'm very interested in the female point of view. And the fact that Beth plays a strong character, let's say, in the relationship between the two, of course that really excited me. So I was very flattered and happy to actually play that kind of role. And at the same time, of course, she's a human being, so she's strong, but on the inside, she's, maybe a bit fragile, but as all strong women out there, they tend to keep it in, and she kept it in just for the sake of letting everything be okay, you know.
It's interesting as well because it becomes, I suppose, a survival film in some way, shape, or form. How you would explore your character in that kind of survival of going into a survival of the fittest mode.
Yeah, I have to say, you're right. Being in the woods as well, because we shot for 3 weeks in the woods. Being at home and reading the script, you're like, great, okay, I like this scene, this is how I'll probably play. But once you're there, physically speaking, it's a totally different experience. So your body will react, and reacting that way. It was interesting also for me to see how, in the dark, when I actually get scared, really, how my body and how I react to it. So yeah, it was very, very interesting, I have to say.
And because it is a low budget film,
yes.
and you didn't have much time to film, do you then have to come, I mean, every actor needs to be prepared, but do you have to be even more so to be on the game so you can just get and run with it and just shoot basically?
I find that, at least speaking for myself, I need to be completely open, okay? I need to be I have to accept that, for example, there's not time to rehearse, or there's not time to, like, you know, talk with your director as much as you need to, because we have to go. So you got to trust in the team, trust in yourself and the situation. So that's what I learned the most on Redwood. Usually, yes, I have a bit more time to prepare. I didn't read on this, but I prefer that because it can surprise you, and it's great to be surprised. And seeing some of the final cut, I was like, wow. Because, yeah, when you're put in that situation where you have to improv, or you have to trust your instinct, or even your body, some really cool things can come out of that.
What happens in the moment?
What happens in the moment, which you cannot rehearse. So yeah, so take the good from everything. Yeah, low budget.
Yeah, I'm stoked. This is incredible. It's you know, it's a home of horror. We're newbies, and yeah, we've been welcomed like a family. It's incredible. It's yeah, we're very, very grateful and humbled.
I was going to say, what's very special about FrightFest is that it's a community of film lovers that like horror movies.
Absolutely, you know, and I think that resonates throughout everything that's done here. You know, we were initially up against Chucky to start with until our screen time got pushed back, and we were kind of like, okay, it's a very, very established franchise. We're not expecting to obviously outsell Chucky or anything like that. It was a huge compliment. But there was never ever a competitiveness within us. We were just very honoured to be in this theatre alongside the likes of horror franchises like Chucky and things like that have been going for generations, that everybody can you know, relate to.
And you talked about resonating. What was it about this script that resonated with you?
For me, we've tried to, or Tom Paton, who's the writer and director, we've very much focused, me as an actor and Tom, we're very sort of passionate about telling a story. You know, and I think with Redwood, it's more to do with these two central characters rather than the monsters that hide in the wood. You know, so it's a turn on the whole horror genre, whereas normally, as I was saying, that sometimes the humans are like cannon fodder. You know, they're you know, whereas what we've tried to do is take the horror genre on a journey with these two characters, Josh and Beth. And do something a little bit different with them, and we just hope that it lands well with these fans, because they know their genres. They're fantastic.
They do, and I think having characters that you can invest in, that you can believe in, that adds that kind of gravitas, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah, that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to bring, which is kind of unusual in so much as there are so many fantastic characters in horror, so many legendary characters in horror. What we've tried to do is make it a little bit more realistic, in so much as it's two young people who are going through a really tough time, and they happen to be in a horrendous spot of bother, and hopefully you'll really feel for these two, Josh and Beth, throughout the whole film. You know.
And we can't not talk about vampires, because it is a vampire movie.
Yeah.
So was there something that you saw in the script that's different that we haven't seen in other vampire movies?
I think, like I say, they don't play an integral part. I think what you tend to find with vampire films is that there's a big focus on the vampires, and there's been some fantastic vampire characters, as we all know in horror. But with Redwood, we've just tried to turn it on its head a bit. You know, the vampires are there, but they're not the main crux of the story. However, they do play an integral part in the whole thing.